Hello, and thank you so much for being here today. You are watching the Intervene Show with Arlena Trevina Jones. I have my co-host, my brother Leon Jones, here again. Welcome. Thank you, Leon, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we have our very, very special honored guest, Professor Croom. Professor, I'm going to actually let you give your further titles and definitions to further enlighten our community because you wear so many hats and the things that you do are beyond what I can even begin to explain.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation and for that beautiful welcoming speech. Well, as you know, I am from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and my title, the Griot, the part is the Griot, is something, a term, a position that I took from when I visited West Africa, Ghana in particular. And so I noticed that the wise person who everybody was waiting to meet, all the kids were running around saying the Griot's going to be here in a minute, in a minute. And so we looked up and he came out of his little hut. And he sat down and all the kids sat around him. And he was considered the wise man. And what they told me about him and what I knew already about griots, but what I didn't know about him was that the kids really loved and they adored him and they respected him. And I said, well, I want that type of respect to be indicated by virtue of using that name. And so that's how I came up with that. As you said, I've worn many hats through many places that I've been, and I'm just very appreciative of all the opportunities I've had. That's what, more than anything else, the opportunities that I've had to do many things. And starting with, actually, I like to start with my birth in terms of being born in Birmingham, Alabama. And I would be most remiss if I did not indicate, anytime I speak, I like to mention my mother. My mother was at the heart of everything that I did. My father died when I was like 5 years old.
Okay.
And so it was my mother with 7 kids. And the interesting story I like to tell about her, I'll do this quickly, is that we're very poor, and she could not afford to pay for us to go to kindergarten. In those days, you had to pay to go to kindergarten. And so she could not afford it. And so what she did each year, each school year, she would have one of my siblings, older sibling, to go to their school and ask the teacher to send some chalk back. And she had a very old chalkboard that she used over and over again. And each one of us, as we came along, the first 5 of us, not my 2 younger brothers, the first 5 of us, she taught us all everything we need to know to go to be in kindergarten. So as a result of her having taught us all that, by the time I got to the 2nd grade, I had to be skipped because my teacher said, I can't allow you to continue to be the book boy because I finished so early with everything. I had to be the book boy, take the books from different classrooms. And so that's why I said I'm very appreciative of my mother that she could teach all of her kids, 5 kids, kindergarten because she didn't have the money to afford to allow us to go. So that's a big part of my life. I grew up in the project. When I said we were poor, we were not, we might have been poor financially, but not spiritually, not academically or anything like that. So you don't really recognize that you're poor in the sense that people might define it. But to say we lived in the projects, and that's the interesting thing about having lived in the projects, that I was not there that often because of my activities at school. I was kind of like away from the project because I was involved in the honor society, involved in other things. I was the president of the student body in my high school, so I was away. But nevertheless, what I loved about when I was there in the projects, those young men who stood on the corners, as all young men very often stand on the corner, some guys stand on the corner, and they would respect me to the extent of saying, every time I passed by, oh, how you doing, Mr. Grant? How you doing? Okay. And these guys can be the most villainous people you ever see, but that kind of respect, I appreciated that because I knew that if something were to happen, they would be there for me. They would never do anything to me, but they would be there for me. Yeah. So that background of growing up, but as I did grow up and as I did go through elementary school and eventually high school, that's when I kind of took off. That's when things became a little bit more apparent to me what I could become. And I took advantage of that. I never took anything for granted. I never took for granted that I was somebody that's going to give me anything I was not going to have to make the grades. I always knew I had to make the grades. And essentially, I did just that. So that allowed me to, like I said, be in the honor society and to eventually be elected. I think I was the first female elected president of the student body. And that was quite a thrill. Yeah, right. That was quite a thrill to be president of the student body. And again, because I was still poor, and we still have our ranks in people, even among our own people, we still have our ranks. And consequently, I was surprised, but I had a very good, dedicated friend.
Okay.
He was from a very wealthy family, so we were kind of an odd couple. Here I was, a female from the projects, and here he was, a male from a very high level of places in Birmingham. But we bonded together. We went to library together because he had access to his mother's car, so we were able to do all those things together. And people thought that we perhaps were dating. We were not. We're just good friends. And we, to this day, we still are. We're in the civil rights movement together. And now that's something to think about.
Okay.
That's something to think about in terms of being in that civil rights movement together. Because of who he was. His father was a pediatrician, the only black pediatrician in Birmingham. His mother was a college professor.
Okay.
And so they were rather very upper class, not just pretending, they were. And so they were, when the movement started, there was concern among all the blacks who were in that upper level because they figured their homes would be bombed. It was not surprising that some were bombed, and so his mother was very conscious of the fact that if he's out there and they know he's the Stewart's kid, Dr. Stewart, was very prominent in the black community, their house could be next. So she did not want him to participate. She did not want him to participate in the movement. And it surprised me when he and I were talking one night that his mother said, James, you are not going out there. You cannot go out there because you know what can happen. And so, and he was a very obedient young man, very proud young man, very cheerful guy. And he said, he didn't say anything to her to the contrary. He said to me, because she was listening in as we were talking, he said to me, I'll meet you at school and we'll decide then.
Okay.
And so we did. We did. And that's a part of my early life too that I treasure because I had such a nice friend. Sometimes you don't meet friends, especially not a male and a female. Because males can do so much for you because of their size and stuff like that, and females can do so much for guys. And so to have us together, doing things together, especially civil rights movement and other things, we had a lot of camaraderie that I could look forward to. And to this day, he has had a few health problems recently, but I talked to him, I think about maybe 3 weeks or a month ago. And so we were back to our old selves, laughing, chuckling about things, talking about our high school economics teacher. She was near and dear to us. I mean, she was young. And so even though we respected her, we had good chuckles and laughs with her, about everything. And so I did call her, about 3 or 4 months ago. And I think she's 93 now. Yeah, might be a little. I think she just said she was 93. And so we would have good times with her, and it was like the good life. But like I said, living in the project, I would go back to the projects. I live there, but I mean, as far as being out there and involved in things. But one thing that was important about living in the projects, I had 5 brothers, 3 older brothers and 2 younger brothers. And when they had activities at the center in the project, they had dances, and my brother took me to the dances. So the guys would come up to him and say, a Grant man, you think I can dance with your sister? He said, I might let you dance with, but I'm going to be watching you. So, and that's kind of the respect they had for him as well as for me, because I wasn't there that much. So it was like a rarity that they would see me at one of these events, but there my brother was with me. And so he said, yeah, I'm thinking about it. But you know, but I'm keeping my eye on you guys. So you just remember, he's open, great man. Yeah, I know you are. And that's another thing too about my brothers. Even though we're in a rough community, and the guys around us were very tough and out there, they respected my brothers as well. My mother had 5 boys, and she did not allow them to get involved in anything that was that's questionable in nature. And so the guys on the corner, many of whom had maybe dropped out of school or whatever, I saw them as pretty much nice guys, but they would be involved in fights and things like that. But they respected my brothers. And I to this day, I thought about that because they could easily have been involved. My brothers easily have been involved in a lot of things too. And who would know today where they would be? Well, 3 of them are dead, but the other 2 are still alive. But all of them were able. I think we had 3 of them went to college and 2 of them did not. But one was in the service, military, and the other one was eventually a Birmingham policeman.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can do shout outs, because I was just waiting for you to say shout out to your friend that introduced you to your.
Yeah,
what's
exactly. Shout out
to your brother.
Shout out to my brother.
I'll let you know.
I mean, my brother is what I just alluded to. Died about 3 years ago. As a matter of fact, his son died just this past February.
This past February? Oh.
This past, I was down in Birmingham for his funeral, so that was a heartbreak. But my brother, this brother, shout out to him, Earl Grant.
Hey, girl.
Yeah.
Mr. Earl.
So he, but everything that I did, because my father died when I was 5 years old, my brother stepped in. He taught me how to swim. He taught me how to drive. He was at every event, everything that I did. He was working, but everything that I was involved in high school, he was there.
Okay.
I got inducted into the honor society. There he was. And so I felt real good knowing that I had a brother who would look out for me to that extent. So when I went to those dances, it was just one of those things. I didn't necessarily choose anyone in particular I wanted to be acquainted with. I was just dedicated to my work, to my school work, I guess. I had a boyfriend sometimes, on and off. But my brother was there for me. Actually, when I had my first year in college, I came home. I needed to go to a friend's house, and he let me use his car. And someone came out of nowhere and smashed into his car, smashed us. I had my younger brother in the car with me. And so I was, devastated, but he said, don't worry about it. And I was worried about it because he was a young father, and this is the only transportation that they had. He never said anything to me about that. Never said any, never was upset, and that made me feel good. So shout out to my brother who has been with the Lord Almighty for about 5 years now, and so I had a good life leading up to everything. But when you're in a position like that, especially when you became president of the student body, you had a lot of respect coming from other places too. And respect coming from my principal in my high school. He had written or called his alma mater, his college alma mater, and he had asked him to send me a scholarship. Now, in past years, persons who were guys who were president of the student body, he always took them to Tennessee with him, and to get the scholarship, to have it presented to them. But he said, when he talked to me, finally talked to me about it, he said, I couldn't take you because I couldn't take a girl across the state line.
Yeah.
He was concerned about that. He was concerned about that.
Yeah.
So he didn't tell me, he just waited for them to send anything to me and surprise me and everything, which they did. However, I never said anything to anyone about it when I got the invitation to fill out the application, because I knew my mother could not afford to pay additional money. I had a brother already in college, and we were struggling to keep him there. And so I took the application, I tucked it away in a drawer, and I just left it. So on Honors Day at the high school, they were announcing all the kids, all of us who were in the honor society, and the schools we were going to, where we got scholarships from, my name was not mentioned. So when the program was over, he called me General Grant. He said, General Grant, I need to see you in my office. And so I said, okay. He said, bring your mother with you. And so he said, I heard from the college and they told me that you had not responded to the scholarship. I said, well, Dr. Bell, I didn't respond because I knew my mother could not afford to send me to college. It paid the additional money as well as keep my brother in And so I just didn't send it out. He said, I cannot believe. He said, I would have taken you. I would have had all the clarity about this if I was not afraid of taking you across state lines. And I said, well, so I just missed out on that. So I didn't have any other offer because, again, we're talking about a class thing now. We're talking about the others who were in the other society with me, even my friend Stewart, and others who, they were from a different class of mine. And I mean financial class. And as a result, I didn't get, even my counselor did not do much for me. I'm not knocking them, but that's just the way it was in the day, And so that was the scholarship that I would need. And he said, well, I'm going to write them again. I'm going to tell them, I'm going to call them, I'm going to tell them that you still want the scholarship. And so we expect, what we did from that point on, my mother said, we're going to do something. We got some Watkins pepper, Watkins lemon flavor, and we sold it. I took my brother who was just under me. We went all up and down the wealthy communities, in the black communities. We went up and down those places, and we sold that Watkins pepper. My minister, my pastor, announced in church. Now, we don't sell things in our church, but when she comes around to your house, I want everybody to buy pepper and lemon flavor from her. And sure enough, when my brother and I took those bags of lemon flavor and pepper, we sold out. Right, thank the Lord, because that's how I was able to go to, things can happen in a strange way. You never would believe that my counselor had not helped me, and I had no offers from any other schools. I was in the top level in the honor society. I was the president of the student body, and not to get a scholarship offer just by chance that my principal recommended me and strongly encouraged them to send me the scholarship. But that was just a blessing. And so, but while I was in high school, that's when I got involved in the civil rights movement.
Okay.
That's when I got involved in the civil rights movement. Like I said, I'm not going to talk too much in detail about things about the movement, but I will tell you this. As a young person involved in a movement of that nature, that made a major change in my life. I wouldn't have known it then, of course. Who would know? We had mass meetings. Dr. King was going to come to town. But what was crucial about my life, because again, I reiterate the point that I was very poor. We had to walk from the projects to the downtown Birmingham, which was quite a walk. After school, we would go and walk to the waiting for Dr. King to speak. And we waited and we waited until he came. And then we had to walk back home. We had to walk back home. By the time we got back home, if we had not finished our homework, we had to finish it that night to have it turned in. There's no such thing as, well, I just go there and tell them I was with the movement, so no. That didn't work. That didn't get with my mother. The same one that taught me kindergarten, don't forget that. The same one who got me through kindergarten. She was not about to say, okay, I appreciate you guys, what you were doing, what you're involved in, but you get the, if we didn't do it right after school, sometimes we got it done right after school. And so I appreciated having been a part of the movement. There's a lot of things that were going on that happened, and some of my people who I've spoken with, they would know about it, and I would share it later on to other places. But that turn in my life made me feel that not only I had a purpose in life, because I knew as a result of the things I was involved in, I did, but this just reiterated the point that, well, there's something for you to do. And so going to college, becoming the vice president of my student body in college, all of that was part of becoming a member of my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. That was a part of it. I have had a lot of things that have made me who I am. And so, sometimes we can take credit for all the things we've done. I did this. No. And when they say it takes a village, it takes a lot of people in the village to say that, yeah, we can help this young lady do what she needs to do. And so as a result of being in the movement, being president of the student body, getting that scholarship to college, and going on to Knoxville College in Knoxville, Tennessee, that was everything that a young person could want. Everything. And then being able to join the sorority. And interesting thing about joining the sorority, because again, it takes money to do almost anything, you know.
What was your sorority, may I ask?
Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority
Okay, say hi to your sister then.
Incorporated.
Okay.
Yes, I have to say that very strongly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alpha, the pink and green girls. Yeah,
Okay.
that's who we
I
are.
won't ask you to do a dance.
Well, no.
Sorority.
I can
Step. I won't ask you to step. I would
no,
love to see
no,
you step.
no. I have to find my younger sorors to do those stepping stuff for you. You know, I can't do the stepping stuff. I can do it, but I haven't done it in a while.
Next show.
Next year I'll get up and do it. But you know, we had to learn the Greek alphabet, and tie it in with the sorority stuff too. So we went through all of that, you know, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, theta, our order, gamma, gamma, nu, zu, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, psi, chi, omega. Let me hear you say AKA, alpha, kappa, alpha, AKA. So we had to do that. We had to learn all that. Yeah. We have to learn all of that. We have to learn all and a lot of other things too, which were life-turning things in being a member. It was not just stepping and all that. It's so much that you learn. And even today, I'm a member of our Theta Chi Omega chapter in Grand Rapids, which is a graduate chapter. And I've been over the voters registration thing for a number of years, representing my sorority. And that's what I look forward to too. In addition to doing what I do with the now this new business I have, this speaking business, Professor Gertrude Crooms of the Griot Grand Rapids, which I've just created maybe about a year ago, something like that. And yeah, and so I feel good about that because, as my daughter said, they encourage me. I have 3 daughters, and they encourage me, Mother, you need to have a business because you're speaking. Like I said, I've spoken to just so many places in Grand Rapids and in Jack and Jill. That's a nice young kids organization who actually it's more that their parents sponsor this and get them involved in a lot of activities, and they are very bright young people, you know. And so they've called on me to speak to them on several occasions, and I've enjoyed doing that. So my daughter said, well, you know, you speak all around the city and in different places. You created this at your church. You know, I told you about the Cinco de Mayo Day that I created for my church. I created the thing. I created having it at our church. But with the Jack and Jill, like I said, a lot of things I've spoken on there with them. But then my daughter said, Mother, why don't you set up some kind of business, and you should ask to be paid for what you're speaking, because you have a lot of things you can be proud of, and which is true. Like I said, I don't feel that everything that happened to me is out of my own creation. Everything that happened to me had someone else behind me helping me along the way. As I said, whether it's my principal, high school principal, first of all, my mother. And so I felt really good. But then I said, well, maybe I can do this. And so I did. We set it up. We started, and we've been going for, like I said, just about a year now. Well, about a month ago, a little more than a month ago, I got invited to speak in New York. A Grace Episcopal Church in New York, and a law school. And the person who got me involved and who introduced me to them, because she had heard me speak, or not speak, she had heard me teach a Sunday school class. Okay. Her father it still is, a Sunday school teacher. But he was out for a while. He had some problems, medical problems. So some of us who were in the class, we said, well, while he's gone, we're going to pick it up and we're going to carry the load. So we're going to alternate in terms of when we're going to teach the class. That's why I said the Lord works in mysterious ways. If there are about 3 or 4 of us who would alternate in teaching the class. The one Sunday, and I taught maybe about 3 or 4 times, one of the Sundays that I was teaching, there was a young lady who was in the class for that time, and that was his daughter. And she heard me teaching the class. She heard me teaching the class. And she talked to me after. She said, what are you doing now? She knew me when she was a young kid, so I didn't, remember too much in the church. And I told her what I was doing. She said, well, do you think that you could speak in my church in New York? Now, people sometimes ask you things like that, and you think maybe they're not serious. It sounded good. I said, yeah. It's ho-hummed more or less. Next thing I know, she's calling me. She said, my church wants you to speak. I said, okay. And then so about a week or 2 weeks later, she said, do you think you could speak at my law school? She is the lawyer for the law school.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So you think you can speak? Can you add that to it? I said, yeah, I think it's miraculous. It was just that she happened to be there that particular Sunday. Because the next Sunday somebody else was going to be teaching.
Okay.
Or the Sunday before that someone else was going to be teaching. Because we were alternating in terms of teaching the Sunday school class. And so I felt really blessed about that. And she and I become very close friends now. She was just here not too long ago. Her parents celebrating the anniversary. So I felt that there was something being paved out for me, something I needed to do. I've worked with kids so long in my present church and the church that I was in when we first went to Grand Rapids. And I've always done something with kids. I created an educational program at the first church, and it was called Beyond the Classroom. So we had the kids. We had the parents. I believe in parents being involved with their kids' education, whether it's in church, in school, whatever. So I created this program called Beyond the Classroom. I got a grant from a Grand Rapids Foundation. And with that grant, I was able to hire a bus driver who was actually a young minister in our church. And he took all of our kids downtown to computer places at the school. And I'll tell you mention the schools that I taught at a little bit later. But he took them on that bus. We went to plays. We introduced them to plays, and they enjoyed it so much. And so, but he was able to drive the bus, and I was able to pay him. The parents were involved on Saturdays, setting up meals for the kids, while my friends volunteered to teach the kids that Saturday, every Saturday. And I would say about half of those kids went on to go into college, maybe more, but those that I really know went on to college. But it was that kind of thing at that church, Messiah Baptist Church, where I felt really good about working with the kids. And I worked with them. I had that program Beyond the Classroom for about 4 years until my youngest daughter was born. I said, oh, I got three kids now. So I had to terminate it at that particular point. But it was really so gratifying. I enjoyed it so much.
Is the organization still in effect? Yeah.
No, that particular organization was not, and I think I'm not sure why they would not. I think because what might being in charge of it, not that I just monopolized it, but I don't know if anyone else wanted to take it up.
Oh.
But as I said, the kids benefited and the parents benefited because the parents knew what to do now to make sure their kids are going to be successful. That was important. It's always important to me that the parents be involved with the kids. If you have something going for the kids, you want to involve the parents. And so that Beyond the Classroom was what I did. Now, at my present church, we had a program. It was a banking program.
Okay.
All the kids who wanted to be at the church were in the banking program at the church. Brown Hutchinson Ministries is my church now. And Brown Hutchinson Ministries, we ended up with 40 kids in this banking program. Each one had their own account. Now, it's not that we didn't trust their parents, but we wanted the parents to know that the kids are in charge of their account. If ever they said, well, can I get my account and maybe get something out for this particular time? Well, we looked and asked them, how much you want to get out, and we allowed them. The parents were not involved in that because we figured that we didn't want anything to happen to the account. And we just said, well, and so but it turned out perfectly. The parents would contribute the money. Each Sunday we put the money in the accounts. We take it downtown we had a particular bank that we used, and it was just marvelous. I mean, it really was just a hit like you wouldn't believe. Only thing that brought it to an end was the pandemic.
Okay.
We could not be in communication. As a matter of fact, not many people even attended church at the time because of those who had masks on. But not many. And so we had to terminate that, and we had to bring all the kids, all the parents and the kids to the church on a given Saturday and give them their bank accounts, and then let them go, because we didn't know. Who knew how long the pandemic would last?
That's true, yeah.
Nobody knew. So as a result, we just had to finalize that. But that was such a big part of what we did. And I mentioned the Cinco de Mayo. We had our kids there. They played music, they danced, and we exchanged food with the church that was the Hispanic churches that were involved, encouraged and invited to come to our church, participate in our services. They were participating. They did different things in their Spanish tradition. And one time we went down to our lower level. We had food from their congregation, and they had food from our congregation. It was just marvelous. I think we did the Cinco de Mayo thing 3 times. Again, the pandemic came in and just kind of brought an end to a lot of things. But the Cinco de Mayo was very, very involved. All of our kids were involved, and a lot of their kids from different churches were involved as well. So those are things I'm just so proud of, because I was able to say that the parents were going to be involved, the church is going to be involved, and that's what I believe in. I believe that if you're going to do something, have people involved who are responsible for the kids. I'm doing it for the kids. I wanted to start it for the kids. However, I want the parents to be a part of it. Now, where I am with my nonprofit organization, hopefully, my goal is to have lower income kids who have not had the real opportunities other kids have had. And this is where my school I taught at comes in. I taught at Grand Rapids Community College for a number of years. Sometimes I don't say how many, but
okay, because I'm like, I got the number right here. But we won't leave that.
No, that's okay. I tease about that, but I think it was over 30 years. So,
okay.
So I taught there. I taught political science and anthropology, and and so I enjoyed that. But if I have a shout out to Grand Rapids Community College, because every trip I took, every visit I made, for scholarly reasons, they allowed me to do it. They allowed me to go to Ghana, go to the Ivory Coast. They allowed me to go to Eritrea on the east side of the continent of Africa. And you would not believe what I learned from those particular visits. In West Africa, it's like, you hear so much talk about what Africans can and cannot do. You have to go there to see what they can do.
Now, when you mention Africa, which country are you seeing?
Ghana, Ivory Coast,
Sierra Leone, or
Senegal.
Okay,
Senegal, Ivory Coast, and Ghana. I think those are 3. And then on the East Coast, Eritrea, which is just below Ethiopia. And of course, the time I went to Eritrea, they were at warfare with Ethiopia. And we actually could stand at a site. We were able to go to a military site in Eritrea and look across the road and see Ethiopia and see their military people standing there. I was disappointed that we could not go to Ethiopia that particular year that we were there. But it was a bitter fight between those two countries. And actually, when I was there and learning part of the Eritrean language, at least observing what it was about, I had been studying a little bit of the Amharic, which is the language from Ethiopia. And the language is so very similar. The symbols are so very similar. It's almost like, but Eritrea did not want to be taken over by Ethiopia. And that's what the fight was about to a certain degree, And so they fought, and Eritrea had a very young population. And that was another thing, too, where Ethiopia's population was a little bit more advanced, older. So, but everything that I was able to do, the trips I was able to take, my college, Grand Rapids Community College, when I was able to go to China, Hong Kong, my school allowed me to go. It's always for professional reasons. I never would ask or write up anything to go just for a trip or just for vacation. And so my school was very accommodating. And I love that because they realized that when I came back, I'm bringing it back to my students. I always taught them the things that I learned on the trip, whether it was in from West Africa, East Africa, or whether it's from and I had a lot of trips, and I went to Canada for many conferences and things like that, and I enjoyed that. Learned a lot, different places of Canada that we don't know about. 'Cause, we all know about Toronto, but different other places that we learned. Which place I went to, I'm trying to think of the name of the place I went. They had a large population of Japanese.
Okay.
And so when I went to that conference, I was thinking, wow, who knew? But that's the thing of being able to go to different places and learn about different cultures.
Yeah.
And that's why I say that the things I've done, I can share, and there's a lot more that I've done too, but I can share a lot of this with the people in Grand Rapids, which I'm hoping to do. We're now in the process of trying to set up a very big citywide introduction of the Griot of Grand Rapids, introducing me to, and it almost, if you say, well, everybody knows you. I said, but we don't know what all of these you've done. And so I said, we're going to rectify this. And that's what we're trying to do now. Hopefully sometimes in October, that we are going to introduce, and what I'm going to introduce the people to, not just what I'm about, not just my nonprofit, but the fact that I want to help the underserved young people, help them see a future. We have a lot of organizations, my sorority being one of them, and we do a lot of things, have a lot of activities, but I feel that very often it is here today and gone tomorrow. I say that like that because you have to have something that's a little bit more extended. The careers that I want for the kids are based on what careers I've seen happen at GRCC, Grand Rapids Community College. We had, in my classes, because political science was a required class, so I got a student from everywhere, all situations in Grand Rapids, all school districts and everything, they would come to Grand Rapids Community College, many of them. Had a number of young men who would come in there, and they were in the tech or trade programs at the college. They would come to me and say, I think I'll have to drop your class. I said, why is that? We're nearly, well, I got an offer for a job, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish. I said, you know what? We're going to work this out. We can work it out. You made it this far. The thing about these young men who will come to me, the thing about them, they were all white. Not a black kid to be found in the trade program at Grand Rapids Community. I'm not saying they weren't in it, but I know they probably weren't in it. I don't have to say they just were not. And so these young men who come to me had only been at the college maybe a year, and they had already been offered a job from a major business because they had to learn the trade. They already had the trade. Many of them probably had parents who were in the particular trade. And I said, what I want to do now is introduce some of our 8th and 9th graders to the trade that they're interested in. Because I'm an academic. No one loves academics more than I. However, not everybody wants to go into the social sciences or the biological sciences, the natural sciences. And so we shouldn't force them to go into it. What if they want to be a refrigerator, hydraulics? What if they want to be an engineer in automobile? With the technology that's in the automobiles today, that would be a very lucrative field. So there are a lot of trades that they can go into, and maybe they want to go into one of those trades. And I know that they will be chosen to go into a career. That's what I'm looking to do. That's what I want to do while I'm here on earth. I want to make sure that they choose when they're in the 8th or 9th grade, as we put before them. These are all the trades that offered at the community college, which is a lot of them. We're going to introduce you to these. We're going to take you through this from your 9th, 10th, 11th. By the time you get in the 11th grade, what you're going to do, what I hope you're going to do, what I hope the college is going to be receptive to, you're going to be an early enrollee We have early enrollees at the college all the time in the academics. I don't know, in the academics. And I would venture to say, about 90% of those early enrollees are white.
Okay.
I'm not knocking, you know, I tell you, I love the college. Things happen. The kids who are not involved in those things because maybe of the home situation, whatever. I'm saying that once we get them the 9th, the 10th, and now the 11th grade, introduced to whatever field they want to go into.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to say, I want them to get credits, come to the college. As the others, kids in academics can come, early enrollees, they can get 3 or 6 or 9 credit hours, college credit hours, before they even start. Why can't the kids in the tech programs do the same thing as early enrollees? And that's what I am about now. That's my main goal now. So on my speaking engagements, I want to make sure that I'm educating the people on what I did with the civil rights movement. I'm not going to say a lot about the details of what I'm going to talk about, because I will say this. I think it might be, I'm trying to look, it's on one of these posts. Yeah, here it is. I was there, not as a spectator, but as a teenager willing to be arrested for justice. Everything I talk about, that I will talk about on the speaking engagements that I have talked about, I have been involved with it. So I can talk about the civil rights movement. I can tell you everything about the thing, just for historical purposes. But things I talk about are things that I was personally, as a student leader, involved with. And so I want to explain to my kids, as I share with you, my humble background and how you can rise through this, how you can get through this, how you can go to a college, how you can go to a University of Tennessee when the school had not been open for blacks to go the time I went. You know, it had only been available to black students for about maybe 2 or 3 years. And I was allowed, I was only black student, and I think the only black student, not just male or female, the only black student in the political science department when I was able to go to the University of Tennessee. Wow. So I'm saying, I've had a lot of firsts. Like I said, there are so many people behind me that helped me get there. But there still were first, and I want to share this with my young people. I want them to know, if I did it, and you're talking about a kid who had 6 siblings or 7 kids her mother had, taught kindergarten with a rickety board and chalk brought from the high school, from the school that my siblings went to. If I could achieve these things, so can you. But you must be allowed to choose. You must be allowed to have mentors. You must be allowed all these things. And that's where the things that I'm going to try to have, the speaking engagements, this big thing I want to have in October, raise money so we can not only do it now, but continue to do it on and on and on. So we are embarking upon this venture now to say that we want all of Grand Rapids to come out, to contribute, and know that our young people will have a chance. The parents are going to know that they're going to have a chance. And I think it's going to work out well. If the Lord says so, and I'm still here, that we're going to do this. And that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
That is genius. Could you mention your, if anyone wants to donate, even if they're not able to attend that day, how they can help support, sponsor,
Do you have volunteer services for anybody want to volunteer for your organization? So
yes, we're going to need mentors, and we're going to need tutors who are going to be working with these young people, because we know that even as they are finishing the 8th grade, and that's a milestone for many of them, they're finishing the 8th grade, they get to high school, that's going to be a challenge right there. So we're trying to put with them their regular high school work, 9th grade, but we're also saying we're going to carry along the tech trade route at the same time. So over here, so we're going to need a lot of volunteers to do those kinds of things, and people who cannot volunteer, we hope to have enough money we can contribute something, some kind of honorarium. We're going to need corporations, businesses, all kind of places in the city and around who are going to hear about us to contribute money. Because like I said, I don't want a fly-by-night. I don't want to hear today and gone tomorrow.
Right.
Well, you started something and then now we haven't heard about it since. you have to hear about this because the way AI is working, we want to make sure that if our kids are in a career, they're going to be in perhaps, hopefully, a career that AI cannot replace them. They can work alongside AI, and that's fine. But since we know this is what I hate when we know something we don't do anything about. You know AI is here. And so if we're going to prepare our kids, and many say, well, they're preparing the kids already, if they're writing papers and stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about preparing them for trade and tech careers. And if they're going to be an automotive mechanic, then AI can give them information about the tools and things like that. But AI cannot repair the cars.
No.
So we're saying that, yes, you're going to work alongside AI,
Yeah.
but you're not going to be replaced by AI.
Yeah.
And so there are the refrigeration. I mean, yeah, AI can say, okay, this is what you're going to put in this place. This is what you're going to put in this particular place in the refrigerator. But AI cannot come out to the house and fix that
You know, the
refrigerator.
physical labor gonna always.
The physical labor is always
gonna be required. We got plumbing and nursing too.
Plumbing, nursing.
Nursing.
I had a young lady met the other day said she wanted to be a dentist. And
There you go. Mm-hmm.
so I'm just saying, if we don't introduce this to our young people and,
Yeah,
and do something to make
exposure.
sure it happens, then they really gonna be out in the cold. They're really gonna be excluded from everything. Because people telling them, now when you finish, you go to college. Fine, but you can't go to college and be in academics if that's not where you sit. See, people say, well, you want to encourage them to go to college and to be in, if they should take history, all that's fine. But that's not what maybe that's not what they're about. Let's put them, I have our electrician, I mean, he is great, he is good, really good. He didn't go to college, but he went to some kind of tech school. He is great, and he's one who's gonna be working with us in this work that we're gonna do. And so we're going to have volunteers. We're going to have the word out. I have my daughter, my youngest daughter, who lives in Chicago. She's my communications person, and she is really very good. And she has a small business herself, communication. And so she's going to put out all the things. She made my website. She's going to put out all the things to people all over, everything you need to know. Every spot on the internet you can find, she's going to have it out there, what we're trying to do. And this is not an ego thing. It is something that I know needs to be done. I've got a lot of help through the years myself. I came from very poor, humble backgrounds, and I know that. Now, when I say this to people, and I chuckle sometimes when I'm talking about it. I said, I know I was very smart, and I was. I'm not bragging. I was very smart when I was growing up. So you said, well, you were smart when you were growing up, so maybe you could do those things even despite your lack of financial resources. Yeah, but if you have people around you who can help you, you don't have to be as smart as I was perhaps when I was in second grade and got promoted, because I want to no longer be the book boy. But you can have help to say that I know you can do this, and I know you're going to enjoy it. You've chosen this particular area you want to go into. So we're going to help you along the way. So we're going to have putting out the thing for a lot of volunteers. I have people on my board. I have a board. I'm made up of about 7 people, I think. And one person is a executive in a top company. And he is going to be talking to those people to contribute to our business ventures. And I have a former minister who is on my board. I will be meeting with him tomorrow, actually. And he is going to be contacting people. He's kind of well known in the city. He's been on the city commission thing. He's also, like I said, a former minister. And he's very, very well known in the city. So he's going to be working with me on getting donations. And I mean donations from everybody. I want people, we live in the community where you probably know, or the Van Andels and the bosses and all of those people. So he's comfortable with them, he's familiar with them. And so I'm not excluding anybody, because I think if you want to have a healthy Grand Rapids, you don't want people in the city who are just there. If you can help them get ahead, if you can help the parents get over the hump that they have been experiencing, find something that what they can do that they can be more responsible. And I think we can make it happen. So with my business and with my determination and with my resources, human resources, everything else, we're going to be able to do it, and I look forward to doing it.
Congratulations in advance.
Thank you.
Because
Thank you
it's
so much.
it's so needed. Yeah, you want to.
Yeah, we want to talk about our awards we have here,
Mm.
Professor. You know, 'cause can you go into details what we're presenting to the world, universe?
Yeah, well, this is the Giants Award that I received, and in Grand Rapids, and it says Raymond Tardy Community Service Award. In Grand Rapids, we have a Giants banquet every year, and we have I think there are about 10 people that get various awards for what they've done in the community, and mine was a public service, community service, and as I said, I work and I still do work tirelessly with voters registration.
Oh, okay.
If you see me, you better tell me you have registered to vote. And I have a good friend of mine. She and I work together. She happens to be a Delta, but that's okay. I don't blame her for that. That's okay. She knows. I tell everybody. But she and I are very, very. I'm not gonna call her name. She and I are very good friends. But yeah, you know, they're number 2 and we're number 1, but that's okay. Yeah. So, but when we go out together, I mean, we go a lot of different places over the city, you know, and we go, and some guys, especially guys, I don't want to register to vote. What, you know, cause it's not gonna mean anything. And she gets so fed up with me. She said, "You handle him." And so I get him up to the side and I say, "Nah, you know, my friend she's just a little irritated with you, but I know you want to register. Let me tell you," and I give them all the pros. So I've done this. I mean, we have been doing this, I would say, close to 15, 20 years that we've been doing voter registration. And I also was able to enroll a lot of people in Obamacare.
Mhm.
This
Affordable Care Act.
the affordable, yeah.
Yeah.
And
The new name.
the new name, yeah, they
Yeah.
don't want to say Obama, but nevertheless,
Yeah.
the people who didn't have insurance, who didn't know how to get it, they heard about the Obama, the affordable care, but they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So that was a part of what I did at that particular, for about a year, you know, all over the city. Going to computers, we got a school that opened their doors to us so we can go get people in there, get on the computers and register to get their health care. Of course, we know it's a little bit threatened now, but hopefully we can hold on to it long enough to get it back in place. But so those are kind of community things. So that's the award I got, the Giants Award for that. Yeah.
And I see that was February 3rd, 2018, is
Yeah,
it?
2018,
Okay.
And this is my sorority, indicating my 50th year as being a member of the sorority.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm known as a golden soror. I've been there a little longer than 50 years now, but when I was given this, so I'm known as a golden soror, and that's quite an achievement to say you've been within the organization for 50 years. And what I like about it is that you do get a lot of respect from the younger ones. You know, they're genuine in their respect, because we respect our elders, and especially when you have a top position in the sorority. And so as a golden soror, that was my certificate. I had other honors that I didn't bring. I don't think I brought with me. That I used to write for the local newspaper, the Grand Rapids Times.
Okay.
And I say used to because the editor of the paper is very ill now. Her son had taken over and he was in charge of the paper, but he died about 6 months ago.
Okay.
And so I think they closed the paper down. And that was, I did a lot of the political writings. I wrote about what was coming up. I always made sure the people knew about early voting. I made sure they knew if they wanted to absentee vote. I would write an article and make it very clear what it meant. Answer all the questions they possibly wanted to ask and explain that to them, what it meant to say that you were going to be a early enrollee, early voter. You want to vote absentee, where you're going to take your absentee ballot, and all of that. So people will walk up on the street, and this is the gospel truth, and they say, "I know you." I'm thinking, so you don't want to not recognize people, you know?
Yeah.
I said, I'm thinking, where do I know her? Let me think. You write for the Times.
Okay.
So they don't actually know me. They know me from the paper, so I don't have to feel that. But where did I meet you? I should remember you. Why don't I remember you? I feel so bad about that, you know. But so I would get that often, even to this day when I'm not writing anymore because the paper is not in operation anymore. I'm hoping, and I know everybody in Grand Rapids, and they were, I think the paper came out to Kalamazoo and I think Muskegon as well. So it's far reaching. And so that was another thing too that tied into my community service, because people would look for my article. I would explain to them about foreign policy. I taught international relations when I was at the college. So I taught a lot of different things: anthropology, state and local government, international relations, and on and on. Because I knew a lot about all those subjects, and all of them were, of course, tied into political science. But so as a result, I could write about those things, but I could simplify them too, to make sure that the average person would be able to understand, which might otherwise be a complicated thing. If we talk about things of international relations matter, then people would not understand. But what these countries in the Middle East, what do you mean that they have this kind of government? All of those kinds of things which become very troubling. I'm trying to explain why we were involved with certain countries and not involved with others. But we did all those kinds of things, but they had to be made clear to the general public as to what was going on. And so that I enjoyed doing that. So I got an award from the paper for being the #1 reporter in the I don't have this with me because it's on the wall in my house. But so I felt real good about the things that I have been awarded for. I was named teacher professor of the year at the community college a few years before I left. I was also made the I was the chairperson of the social science division. Now, I'll just tell you a little bit about that, because that's something else. I mean, to say that you're going to be chosen to be a division chair, that means you're going to have a lot of people under you. That the president of the college had to appoint you, had to appoint you.
Wow.
And so we had never had a female who was the chairperson. Never had a female. And of course, never had a black. So when he chose me, actually, I was down in Tennessee. My oldest daughter was graduating from college. My Tanera was going on to where did she go? Xavier. That's what she went down to graduate, Xavier. And so we were just down there that particular summer, getting worn out with. And so a friend of mine got in touch. She said, President Calkins is trying to find you. He is going to appoint you to be chair of the division. And so when I used to hurry back or make a call or do something, and so when I got back, he made me chair. When I say chair of the division, I'm talking about over political science, history, anthropology, sociology, geography. I know I missed something, but econ, yeah, and I said psychology. So it's like, so to be chair over any division, you have to have all of those things under you. You have to be the faculty members in that particular division are under you. Students will come to you and say, they don't like this particular professor, so can you get him out? Can they get them out of his class? So I had to deal with the professors too, in terms of why this student didn't like what's going on, why this student, whatever was going on, that had to be cleared up. So it would bring about, a lot of animosity or misunderstanding, but I had to hold my ground, because, like I said, not only was I African American, but I was female, and for some it was just not what they wanted to have happen, but it happened.
Amen.
And I was there for like 4 years. By the time Tanera finished at Xavier, I was not chair, but I had served 4 years, and that was, I think, a very long time to be chair, because they switch chairs, quite regularly. But I was chair over all those departments in the social science division, and so I guess I've had a lot of firsts, and I feel very proud about that. I was also allowed to, from the college, I speak of this, to take a trip, a study trip it was just 2 weeks, to Harvard University.
Oh.
Harvard College. I was there, and I was so proud of that, because not only for the college to say that I could do, and they funded and everything, but also for the Harvard, when they selected people who could come for that particular summer program, they selected me, and we studied Chinese health things. We learned about the health programs in China and how they differed from American, and how America tries to persuade them to change over to their methods of doing doing health things. It was quite interesting to go there, because that was part of the anthropology that I taught, and looking at different cultures, the cultural way of dealing with their medical services, on and on. So I've had a lot of good years all my life, from the very first time when I was young, my mother teaching me kindergarten, all the way
Guys
through
like
now.
first homeschoolers.
Yeah, before it was a thing.
Now everybody doing it.
Exactly. I mean, as I think about it, she taught all the first 5 of us, my sister and the older brothers, and every one of us. We were able to go right into the first. Now, if you didn't go to kindergarten because you couldn't pay, you had to start, somewhere. I don't know what those kids did, but because my mother taught us, we were able to go right to the first grade. Easy transition. And then by the time I got to the second grade, I knew so much, and I'm not bragging, but
Earned it.
my teacher told me, my mother, she said, I need to talk to your mother. I'm thinking, she said, no, you're not in trouble. My mother came in, she said, Mrs. Grant, I can't continue to have her being a book boy. She's out taking the books from one class to the other while the other kids are finishing their work. She's out taking the book. She said, so I have to pass her on to the 3rd grade. She said,
I'm sorry, you see a book what again?
they call me a book boy. That's what they call it.
Book
The
boy?
boys were normally the ones who take books around.
Okay,
Yeah.
book girl, okay.
So yeah, I did. She
The
didn't say
first,
book-
but it was add another first.
that really
Book girl, okay.
was. Yeah, it really was. But so I would every day, and as they were finishing up their work, I was taking the wheel in a cart to take the books around to the different classes, because we had to share books, If we were reading at this particular hour, other classes were doing something else, and on and on, so we shared. So every day I would do that, and she said, that's not fair. She said, it's not fair to you. And so she said, I'm going to have to promote you. I'm going to have to skip you to the 3rd grade.
Wow.
And so it was.
It's funny you mentioned I brought my health book, my natural.
Oh, okay.
So, when you talk about the Chinese health, so therefore.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
changed my little,
Right.
formative book.
Which mineral supplement I better read that one. Yeah, iron, calcium, zinc,
So,
yeah.
Go ahead.
as we are getting ready to wrap up the show,
Well, let me ask her more question. I
Uh-oh,
love your
Leon.
design. Hold on a second. I love your design, your graphic.
Mhm.
It reminded me of Ronnie Law's album Friends and Strangers, because they got that remind me of that album. It's just, Ronnie Law's is
I think I heard.
the singer.
Yeah, yeah.
His album cover. It's not. It's
Tanera created that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, my daughter, the one, she created that.
Did she? I
particular
like
yeah,
that.
that's her excellence all around.
Yeah,
I
she
see that, but that's-
created that symbol for me.
Really,
the
it's just
Griot.
giving me Ronnie Law's vibes, because his
Yeah.
album's good, a great
Yeah.
album.
Yeah,
Got that,
yeah,
not
Yeah.
female, but it's an image that.
she created that symbol.
Now, how
for me.
long that image been? Is that for how long you have this image?
I had this.
Our trademark copyright. Don't try to take it.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
don't
we-
try to take it. Just a couple of years now that
Okay.
since she created it. Yeah, it's been about a little over 2 years since she created it. Yeah, so like I said, I've had a lot of things happen
It
in my
really
life.
fits you though.
Yeah,
It
that's what
really
these people
does.
say.
It really-
But
it,
if you saw my things on my well, it's not on the website. This is on the website. but other things, my what do you call it? Emoji. It looked just like me. I mean, if you saw that, it just looked just like me. This is close.
You said an emoji.
This is not, but I have emoji.
Oh, you do have an emoji.
Yeah, I have emoji.
Okay.
And my granddaughter created an emoji, and I mean, it really looks just like me.
Okay.
I mean,
Is it under Professor?
No, it's not. It's just where's my
How do you
emoji
get your
located?
emoji?
I don't have my phone with me.
We'll
I was
ask
gonna-
you.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll look you up.
yeah.
Oh, you want to keep it private?
No. I send it out to people, and for different kind of occasions, things like that. I send that out, and people say that looks just like you. I said, I know. My granddaughter found that and created that and all of that. And that's another thing too. I have three grandchildren, 2 granddaughters, and 1 great grandson. And the granddaughter, one of the granddaughters, and one of the sons are the one son. They are twins. And they have just turned 16 in February, so I'm excited about their coming to visit with me, which they do every summer. They'll be here probably next month. And
Are they coming from
Chicago.
Chicago?
Yeah, and they'll be here next month. And my granddaughter is big. She plays the trumpet, and she engages in the Calvin University in Grand Rapids. She engages in that every summer, so she's looking forward to doing that. My grandson taught chess last year to some
Wow.
adults. He learned chess when he was like 5 years old.
What?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know how to play chess.
I got to.
He-
Very good.
Because I don't know how.
He is so good. It's unbelievable. He taught these adults.
5 years old.
Teaching an adult.
Man,
He
absolutely.
learned he was, I mean, and he pretty much, we pulled up the stuff, you know, he was like 5 years old. He went to the library one time. We were at Tenerife. He went to the library. He walked around the library trying to find, he's like 5 years old, trying to find someone to play. Nobody, you know, kids didn't know.
Oh.
He found one little, well, the woman said, she can play, and the mother said. So this one little white girl was there. He was 5, and she was about 10, 12. She sat down to play with him. And I was so happy because finally he found somebody to play with him. He told the girl, he said, don't move it there. Because if you do, I'm going to have to take this from. I said, Gabe, you barely found somebody to play with you.
But
He
he's already
didn't care.
instructed already.
Yeah,
but that's,
exactly.
A prodigy.
And so,
you,
and
did you play chess or not to interrupt?
a
you?
little bit, but you know, and most what I know is he's taught me. I was in the class a little bit this past summer, but he mostly had me doing work to pass out papers and things to the people. You know, they were all a lot of good friends of mine, and they paid him. And it was very exciting that the way he was doing things, and he just could move. He played at the end when we finished it this summer. He played all of them together himself. He walked around and did different things.
Oh,
And-
wow,
yeah.
man.
He said, okay, no. And this couple said, over there said, were you able to beat Gabe? He said, no, and you're not going to either. And you're not going to beat him either. And so, yeah, so they're good kids. All three of them are good kids. Yeah. So I've been blessed, you know, my 3 daughters, my 3 grandchildren, and it's all been work. But of course, the only sad thing is that I miss my husband who died about
Yeah.
15
You said
months ago.
57 years. Congratulate. Ooh,
Yeah.
that,
Love.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
much
True
love.
love,
Yeah, yeah, he died, and I won't even begin to try to tell you the different things we did together. We met in college though, but we had a very good life together.
Mhm.
Very good life
And
together.
Tanera's, we already
Beautiful
spoke, Tanera
family.
spoke about it our last
Yeah.
show, so we got a
Yeah,
little,
she was
it
his,
seemed
she,
like we
she was
got
his
a-
favorite.
Daddy's girl.
Well, that's because you know he was in science. He wanted to be a veterinarian, but of course he couldn't afford it. So when she said that she was interested in that, that's all it took.
Okay.
All it took is that from that point on, you know, and she was very good in school too, very smart. You know, as a matter of fact, one time I went to her high school because I was just visit the high school. I went to her high school. They let you come in those days, and went and sat in the classroom. And so they would teach, and she looking at me, why is she in my class? Teachers passing back the papers, you know, tests they're taking. And so the kids would get the paper, they would pass them back to whomever it belonged to. And so when her paper was coming back, I intercepted it.
Okay.
And I looked at it, and she had a big time A on it. So what did I do? I tipped up quietly and went out. I said,
You what?
I left out of the classroom because I'm thinking,
With her paper?
no, I just left out because
Oh.
you know, she had shown me that I didn't need to be there because she's doing well.
Oh, okay.
But I just wanted to let them know that
Yeah.
I'm a parent who's always going to be interested in my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Always, even if they're doing well. You know, Tanera was a big time swimmer too. She set a record in high school, freshman year, for the best freshman, I think, in the breaststroke.
Okay.
That was a specialty.
She didn't tell us all that.
You
We
didn't
got
tell
that.
me?
We got to get a part
That's
two. And
Hour goes by so fast, people. I mean, this is.
yeah, and then I
that's
still
why we
had
have to have
a
part
question,
2, part
which
3.
was,
We
could
just
you
getting warmed up, getting our teeth wet. So,
Yeah,
you
okay.
know,
Well, thank you
time
so
is
much.
gold.
could you give us something inspirational? Because a lot of things that you kind of spoke about was, you know, the young people, the parent involvement. Could you, you know, for anybody who's watching the show, moms and families, dads, community, young people, to give them some words of encouragement, like you said, you've accomplished so much, and you were like, none of these adversities that may have looked like it wasn't an adversity just made you stronger, made you polished, became the diamond that you are. So is there some words or
You're part
words of
history
wisdom?
that-
Yeah.
American history that
American
Yes.
history.
really revolutionized,
Yeah.
changed how we look at things. Still a lot of work to do, but this is a major.
Yeah.
This is something that.
And it will go on. For me, but I tell you the thing that, and it's been on my mind for the past month now. When I was at the law school, Brooklyn Law School in New York, the president of the law school was there in attendance when I was speaking, and so he had a question. He said, "Just tell me, how did you get the courage to do what you did?" And I thought about that for the longest. And I said, even to this day, I'm still thinking about it. I was not fearful. And they would tell us, my mother was a little concerned about whether we would be attacked and all this, so she wouldn't let my brothers go out and march. But I was never really fearful. I felt courageous in terms of saying this needs to be done. And this is the way I feel today. Never be afraid of what may be the unknown or the fear of things that might be fearful to you. Feel that you can do it. Feel that you can overcome it. And I just never had any doubts in my mind about the civil rights movement, about my time in high school, what I could accomplish there, my time in college, going to the University of Tennessee. I believed I could do it. And it's a belief thing. You have to believe that you can do it, even if you need help. And that's okay if you need help, but know that you can do it. Because I have to say, if I did it, you can do it. It might take a little bit more help for you, but you still can do it. And just go ahead and do it. And that's what I'll be telling my young people when I meet with them in the probably starting next year with those ninth graders.
You can do it.
You can do it. Don't think you can't.
Be fearless.
Yeah, be fearless.
And sometimes, you know, it's always we are protected by forces that, you know, be faith forces. So pretend that just say that you're always protected, which we are, you know, so that's
Right.
spiritual and physical, all the
Exactly.
phase of the aura. So just remember your protection, you are protected.
You are protected. And you don't have to
So
believe
therefore be fearless.
that someone is going to, there's always going to be some people going to try to do you harm.
And that's the thing, go ahead. I just want to say the bravest people the bravest warriors to me are the freedom riders. To go down there and burn with no weapons. That is the ultimate warriors. That
Wow.
is
Yeah.
like, they felt protected. They
Yep.
like, man,
Yep.
we ready for whatever.
We got God on
they
our
felt
side.
protected.
Yeah.
You could not fight back. Dr. King's main thing was that you're nonviolent. So no one could strike back. If we were struck, which we were struck. Things were thrown at us. We could not fight back. And that's really what makes you courageous in terms of saying, I'm going to take this abuse, and yet I'm going to hold my head up high and persevere. And sometimes it takes that, and that's what we had to do. My mother just would not let my brothers go because she feared that they would be attacked, and they might feel they had to fight back, and then they're going to be arrested for good. They were going to be in jail for a long time for resisting arrest or whatever. So my mother, but my mother, I mean, through all those many years, she trusted me, and I mean, a lot of times I said, why she let me go out and do different things that you wouldn't think. You know, she knew that it could be in harm's way. Nevertheless, she trusted me, and to this day, I think about how much she trusted me and how much it meant to me, and how much it still means to me to this day. That she believed I could do it. She believed I would be okay. She trusted the Lord would take care of me, and sure He did.
Amen.
Can you mention your mom's name?
Leola Grant.
And her mom name is Leola.
As
She's
well.
my oldest sister.
Yeah.
Out of here.
Yeah,
okay.
we found that out. I was like, you can't make this
Yeah.
up.
her husband's birthday was on January 1st.
Yeah. Oh, you was listening? See?
No,
Yeah.
no, me and Tanera
I'm
was
just-
talking.
Yeah.
No, I was listening before, but me and Tanera talked. We didn't need you guys.
Yeah.
We had our own interview.
Yeah, y'all share.
So we started talking.
Share
I was like, wow.
birthday.
Yeah, his birthday was January 1st, and Tanera and her sister, younger sister, birthday was July 4th.
July 4th. Wow.
4 years apart.
Yeah, okay, that's when I walked in. You guys, okay. You guys
Yeah.
having a whole bunch of little
Yeah, exactly.
lippy.
Right,
But,
exactly.
Well,
well,
thank
this is-
you,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you for showing.
Thank you
thanks
so
for
much.
appearing and exposing your business and your historical journeys and present and future journeys. It's
Yes.
not always just a beginning.
No,
Yeah.
you know, and that's another thing I should say very quickly. is
Please.
I feel blessed with my good health.
Amen.
Because,
Yes, Lord.
you know, I just wouldn't,
Yes.
I wouldn't believe I could do this if I didn't have good health.
Amen.
Because it's just no way, all that would entail, if I didn't have good health. And knew that if I continue to be blessed, I will have good health. But I know that just doesn't, it's not a given. And so what I'm embarking upon and what I've done thus far, I've been able to accomplish that because I've had good health. And I feel real good about that. And so I have blessings coming from all directions, you know. Every time I look around, this is a blessing. This has been when Tanera called me yesterday and asked me if I was free on Wednesday. I said, oh, let me think about it. I said, I got something on Thursday, and I got something, and I had just come from something on the weekend. And so I said, yeah, I Wednesday is open. And so here I am. Here I am, and I appreciate you having invited me.
This means so much to me.
It's an honor.
To us, like the sharing, you know, for you taking your time and sharing, I'm inspired. Like I have learned so much. Like I'm here with, like I'm speechless just because like I've just taken it all in what you said and just like how to keep persevering. You know, like you said, it's like we have to keep persevering. Like you all have laid such a foundation for us, and you said it earlier as far as respecting our elders.
Right.
You know, and taking time to pay homage to that. So for all of us who are watching the sacrifices that you made, the letting yourself be a vessel, to lay down where we are able to be here today, the privileges that we have, the roads that we can travel, the places that we can eat, the places that we can go, the freedoms that we have, whatever small or large that they are, is because of the works that you blessed us with. Like you didn't have to. You could have just not, but you did. So thank you, and for all who did, you know, put it in.
All of them.
Yep.
For the sacrifices and for the pain and the tears, and I guess I guess there's some joy in it too, because it's such a magnificent. It's, like I said, it's something that was the legacy of this is go on forever and ever. This is history
In the making.
and we all need to know our history, respect our elders and our ancestry, our heritage.
Exactly. We have to do that.
On the shoulders of those who came before us. Yep. And there's such a further journey to go along. We were having a conversation, and I know as far as time wise, but I was speaking to you and speaking with Tanera about reparations, like back unpaid wages and stolen wages and unfair pay. You know, that is old, and you're one of the reasons why people can say snarky and disrespectful things, but the reality is that unfair pay, no pay, stolen wages, and I could go, you know better than I do the statistics and everything that go into that, and why reparations are important to pay back, because generational wealth should be passed down. And
And this is what I talked about, what I had at my President Day church, teaching the kids about money and having them with a bank account, letting them know that they could have, something simple as that, but still letting them know you can put it aside. This is what we're going to be dealing with these young people too. On the side, that's not our main emphasis, but on the side we'll be saying, okay, we're going to have some little account for you too while you're in this program, and I'll show you how you can work that a little bit too. So it's going to be a multiplicity of things that we're going to be doing, but the main thing is to say you are going to have a career. You're going to know that you can do this, and you will not be replaced, because we're going to make sure as we go along these years from the 9th, 10th, 11th grade, and finally when you graduate, that you are going to be able to say, this is what AI can do, and this is what I can do. And I will not be replaced by AI, but I will work side by side with it.
And I'm going to add to the reason of the importance is retirement and health care.
Exactly.
Because you have to have enough money to last as long as you live, and you have to be able to maintain the quality of life and quality of care as you are aging, because as you age, your health doesn't usually become better.
That's right.
You tend to become more expensive medically wise. And so making sure that you have enough monies in your earlier years, enough financial and compound interest growing during this time, savings that's going to be there at retirement in life, so that you can enjoy your comfortable golden years. So once you are retired, you can set on your second career with your health and your energy and your vibrance and your exuberance, that you can now give back in whatever capacity that you want to, and put your energy and efforts to what you choose to do, versus worrying about keeping your lights on, paying the taxes, being able to stay in your homes. And these are things we don't want our seniors, the further down generations, to not have, because we got some that are suffering now because of lack of resources that were available. It wasn't until the 1970s that black people could even go into banks. We were not allowed to have stocks. We were not allowed to invest. We were not allowed to have life insurance. So these things that we are just now getting on, there's hundreds of years, and that they have such a head start. So we already, again, reparations are so important for that back, that to make up for that lost time and that back pay. of lost and stolen wages.
Exactly.
So moving forward with the careers that you speak of is why this is such an important topic, and it's not
Exactly.
something to be taken where it's just a day-to-day job, not just in survival, but thinking about how are you going to be able to live for yourself, your family, your legacy, your grandchildren and great-grand. Like, you have to focus on generations out, and these are the steps that each one of us are responsible to do in our lifetime to prepare for the next.
That's why I said that the companies that they may will be hired into, but these young people can also look forward to having their own business. Because now they have the trade, they know how to do it, and
Yeah.
they can do that, and they can hire other people. And so it's just so many things that can come out of this that I'm excited about. And this is one of them. Like you said, having the means to say that I can take care of myself when I get to a certain age and know that I'm comfortable in where I am financially, and I can do other things. I can spend my time doing other things, which is what I try to do now, doing with this new thing, that to spend my time doing this and knowing that I'm okay, but I want them to be okay too.
Amen,
I want
yeah.
them to be okay.
You such a busy lady. Do you have a hobby? How do you garden? Are you a pigeon coop? What do we do for our relaxation?
Well, I used to, my husband and I used to play tennis together. We used to play
Oh.
racquetball. I mean, we were racquetball crazy.
Okay.
And now I walk a lot now. I work out at the Croc Center. That's like the Salvation Army recreational place. And so I do that.
Okay.
And I read a lot. I like reading. I always enjoyed reading. But so I have a lot of, all these things are interesting to me as far as recreational that I do. I enjoy. Like when I do voter registration, I mean, that is like, wow, that is so much fun. You wouldn't believe talking to those people and especially those guys. I won't have such a hard time now because they know what's going on in the country now. They realize what's going on. So all I got to tell them is that, look at what's happening and what's going to, and without getting into details, they will understand that it's really, their vote will count. And so, but in the past, I've had an interesting time trying to talk to them. And my friend said, I can't deal with it. I said, okay, I'll do it. And so that's a lot of fun. Talking to those guys, they said, okay, I guess. Because we had the forms right there on the spot. We would have them to fill out the forms, and we would take them down to the city clerk's office. So they didn't have to be bothered with that. So as soon as they fill it out and they sign it, we take it down to the city clerk's office, and next thing you know, they get a card in the mail saying, you are now a registered voter. That was fun.
Okay. Well, we all got our thrills.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you. Are there any last remarks that you would like to say?
That was the longest 3 minutes.
Yeah, hey, listen, we on CP time 3 minutes. I'm right around the corner. I'll be there in 3 minutes.
You didn't knock on the window and say,
Yes. Well, hey,
Yeah,
we on CP
Yeah,
3
okay,
minute
well.
time.
Okay, well, if like I said, when I go on my speaking engagements, like when I just came back from New York, and I spoke in Lyons and in somewhere in Grand Rapids and all around, but I'm looking forward to enlightening people. The people at the Episcopalian Church in New York, they were just totally enlightened. It was a day where they were enjoying themselves in their services, and I was enjoying myself with them, but they were just excited about my being there. They laid out the red carpet for me, so to speak, and the same thing at the law school. So I look forward to the future things. I got a place that's in line now that's coming up soon. I just get the final details on it, and then I have a place. I had a college official of mine who called me, and he's in Ohio. He said, well, we might be wanting you to speak at this place, so he named the place and everything, so he's going to get back to me on that. So I'm looking forward to a lot of places that I'll be going in the future. But I especially want to go back to Birmingham and speak, and I will probably be doing that. Hopefully I could do it this past year, but the weather was so bad, I said, no, I'm not going to try. So when this thing came from New York, they asked me what month would I want to. They gave me a choice. And I said, probably the last of March, because that would be a better time. And it just happened to be when I did. It was Palm Sunday, and that worked out quite well at the church,
Wow.
at the Episcopalian Church. And so, I want to get sometime like in March, April, because the bad weather would, would just stifle any type of thing you want to do. You might get stuck in the airport, and that wouldn't be good.
Leon, there's any you want to?
I'm full of knowledge. Thank you. I'm just, learn something new every day, but it's good to have nourishment of knowledge every day, and to make us bloom better, and people sharing their personal experiences just only to enlighten those who weren't there, or now it's all part of, we can grow from what you sowed. We'll put that. All right.
Yeah.
All garden relatable statements, sowing seeds.
Well, I'm hoping that, it is beneficial to you, but I'm also mostly hoping that my young people that I will be engaged with soon, that they would be understanding, because I believe that if they can see, like I said, I didn't give you guys the details of the different things that I actually engaged in. I told you I was engaged in those things. I told you that everything I share, the stories I share, all of them are stories about what things I did, and I think they are tremendous stories. I gave one story to the Episcopal Church in New York. I get a different story to the law school. So I have a lot of stories about things in the civil rights movement that I engaged in, and as I said, as a student leader, that I was privy to a lot of things. I was there in Dr. King when he was making plans. I was privy to that. I didn't know at the time that was going to be historic, but I was there then, so I can look back on those times and say, wow, what I learned from being in his company, and to be privileged to have been in his company. People say, you work with Dr. King. And I know, like, as a matter of fact, when I was at the college, some of my students who came to my classroom said, you did not tell us that you worked with Dr. King. It took Professor so-and-so to tell us that you were with Dr. King. I said, well, I didn't want to brag. But you're not bragging about this. You should have told us so. Tell us now. I said, you guys are trying to get out of this work today, right? I said, but I did. And from that point on, I began to share with them. Not about 95% of my students at the college were white. That's just the nature of Grand Rapids, and more black students are coming too. And some of the black students, I had, I had one African American young lady. I was just at her church this past Sunday. She and her husband have a church, and when I walked in, she said, "Oh, I don't believe it." And then her husband said, "All I hear about is you." She talks about you all the time. She was just an excellent student, and I talk about her. She was an excellent student, and she said, "Whatever you want us to do to help you, we're there for you." And she told me after church, she said, "And what what my husband said?" I said, "Yes." She said, "He means it. He will be here for you." You guys ask about people volunteer. I don't have a concern about people volunteering and being receptive to what I'm doing. It's just a matter of my calling them. I'm just waiting until we get the fundamental things done first. Then I can reach out to others to say that we need you to do this. Can you help us do this? So I'm very hopeful and feel very grateful that they are there, and they're letting me know that they will be helping my sorority. I don't have any doubts about them, what they'll be doing, and the other Greek-led organizations too. They will be available to help out with what they know what we're trying to do. And I know what we have done in the past, but I think this is kind of unique. And I'm talking about something that is future-oriented and is career-oriented. That's how I see this. I think we can do a lot of things, and people do a lot of things. Summer program for kids, get them jobs and things like that. All of that's good, and I believe in that. But I'm saying, after they finish, they're saying, what can we do? Oh, you say, well, Grand Rapids Community College now allows students, when they finish high school, to go to the college free. However, they must go that same year they graduate. They cannot wait a year out, okay? And so consequently, some of them don't go. And then some of them who do go, because they feel maybe kind of rushed, they don't do well, so they drop out. So that kind of guidance that needs to be done too, to say, okay, when you finish here at your high school, you already have been introduced to the trade program, all right? So you already got a foot in the door at GRCC. Now, when you go there, that year they let you come in free, you can go already paid for, and you have maybe 3 or 6 credit hours that you had because you went in early enrollment in the trade. I believe deep in my heart when I talk to people at the college that they're going to be in agreement why didn't we think of this? I said, I don't know why you didn't think of this. Because why we didn't think about having something set aside, especially for these kids who do not want to go into academics as we see it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Get them into something that they can enjoy doing and prosper from that as well. So that's what I'm excited about. I'm really excited about doing this, and looking forward to all the support I'm going to get from the different organizations, meeting with my former pastor tomorrow, so we can kick it off big time, you know, to say looking forward to what we're going to try to put out in October as a citywide thing. We're going to introduce you to the professor, the Griot of Grand Rapids, and let you know what she wants you to do and what's going to happen.
Will this be held at the park or will it be held at the college?
We're gonna get a site. This is what my pastor and I will be working on tomorrow, and I want to get that done first to make sure that, and the support that we're gonna need to wherever we're gonna go, that we're gonna have, because I want to be able to accommodate as many people as I can, but this time I want to make sure that people in the what we call the inner city, the underserved, will be able to be there.
Yeah.
And we're gonna make special arrangements for that to happen. So, because a lot of things we have, a lot of these sororities, fraternities have, most people who are not in that particular category cannot go.
Yeah.
The price is just too high. It's too expensive. So we're gonna work through all of that, and that's why I said citywide. That's really what I'm talking about. Include those who have not been included in the past, and the underserved.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I'm looking forward to. That's exactly what I'm looking forward to.
We got twins, Jelena and Jalea. They in Grand Rapids right now under a training program.
Okay.
So, hello, Jelena, la la la. So, okay, we got get in touch with Professor. Hopefully, that'll be something for them to probably be interested too.
A couple months ago, we had the union men come on here and talk about the union trades and the union benefits and how the career and financial protections and groups, and as far as workers' rights by being a part of the union. And so definitely advocating for that. Our father was a concrete cement mason, so we are all about the trades and all about the union, because the union still takes care of, it still takes care of our family from the work that my father did. And so talking about the efforts of, the gentleman that came on talked about being able to still maintain a one-income family. And the union is one of those careers that you can do that, because you can make so much money per hour level. It's not necessarily hierarchies and different things like that. Like they come in entry level, and this is what you get paid. And they know when their raises are coming every year, and they know what their benefits are every year. And they will always find work for you. Daddy always had work. He had off season. They send Daddy away, come around. But so looking at how the unions have such a great impact on what you all are doing, they are looking, and they're saying we have more work than we have workers.
Of course they do.
Yep.
Of course they do.
People may think whatever. I'm all about the union, but definitely for what you're saying, for our younger people, that inner city community, to be able to say, look, I know that puts food on the table, keep a roof over your head, feed your family, keep a car in the garage, in the driveway. The union does that.
Well, see, a lot of these people we're talking about, and I'm talking about now, they haven't been exposed to this. They don't have anybody in the family who have encouraged that to them to get into a trade. And now it's going to be more important than ever. Again, with AI out there, it's going to be more important than ever to have a profession, to have a career in something that you can really do and you enjoy doing.
Enjoy doing it.
Enjoy doing
Daddy
it.
loved his job. Even after he retired, he sit back and watch people working on streets and drive around like, I built this, I built this, I built this, I built that. There is pride and honor in the men and women, because there are a lot of ladies that are joining the trade industries along the way too, but just the camaraderie and the man, the brother, the fellas, Daddy go to work at early in the morning. You don't see, it'd be dark when he leave, and he still have a smile on his face when he came home.
Exactly.
And our dad had been at I call it the rub wake. When you drive along the highway.
Yeah, we never got benefits from that yet.
He did that just by accident or rake. So
yeah, he was on a drive, and he said somebody was falling asleep on the road, and when he came back, clearly somebody stole the patent. You know how they do that, but he's like it's okay. Look how many lives that has been saved because of an invention that I made.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so you know you're on the highway that wakes you up. That's
Yeah.
his invention.
Yeah, wow.
Like I call it the rub wake.
Yeah.
You could be drowsy until you.
Yeah, that's
you
what he
wake
said.
up,
He was
you know,
like,
it's a rub wake.
that's what he did. He would be in a concrete
I just
cement mason.
went across it when I came here. Oh, what that, you know?
Yeah, so that's-
yeah.
but
that's
somebody
Pay all
else-
our money.
Yeah, pay us give us our reparations, give us our daddy's
Yeah,
invention.
exactly.
Right here in Kalamazoo, y'all know who
Exactly.
we ain't gonna name the company,
Yeah,
but
right.
you know, hey y'all.
I just came across those, you
Yeah.
know, so I do know what you're talking about, and that. But again, if we can just,
Yeah.
and I just believe, because I think if these young people say, I mean, I
Yeah.
can choose to go into this, I can do that, I can be a fireman, I can be a young
Ooh,
man.
yes.
There's a lot of trades they can go
Yeah.
into, but this is what they want to do, not what they have to, not what you're forcing them to do. Yeah, they might have to take some classes, but like those white guys I had, you want to take some classes,
Yeah.
and but just for a year. You don't have to go 2 years. And just may pick a few classes here and there, but I got that trade class.
Or just
I'm
get
really-
certified.
Well, they were
Just
taking,
get
a lot of times it
certified.
was
That's
math.
exactly right.
You know, they had to be able to be good at math, because the ones who came were electricians, so they like, you have to be good in math to be into
Exactly.
electricians, but they were like, but not all of them require
No.
math. But if you find, there's a lot of young boys, girls that enjoy math, and they don't really know what to do with it, not realizing that you don't
Exactly.
necessarily
There you
have
go.
to go into architectural to be in math. Like, you can be in math on this capacity and it might enjoy it more. So like, don't think that any skill that you have is a waste. You know,
Yeah,
sometimes you
exactly.
think that, oh, what can I do with this? I don't have any vision with it. But there is, once you have the exposure, that
Exactly.
that there's a place for it. There's nothing goes in vain. Like, let's just, you said, guide them in that right direction, that they can
Exactly.
find that what's their niche.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
And don't let them get discouraged.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get discouraged because things not going well in the home. That's why we're gonna look at, I got one person on my board who's been a community watch person for a long time. And so she knows the ins and outs. She's been out there when they've been shooting and everything. So sometimes she has to mediate that. So I'm gonna use her in that kind of capacity, so she can go out there and make sure get with the parents and others, you know, to know that this is what we're doing. We want you to be a part of it. We want you to get to be a part of it. I have a school in particular I want to go to and talk to the principal and the teachers and the parents about the 8th graders. So when we get them ready, so when they get to high school, we have already worked with them. And so it's just a lot of prep. That's why it's a lot of prep things you have to do. You have to think about it. You can't just rush into it. And so once we prep it and get these different forces together, and I want to make sure tomorrow's going to be an important day, because my pastor, former pastor, has a lot of influence. He has a lot of personal engagements, and so he knows that what I want him to do. He told me he said, whatever you want me to do, wherever you want to meet, because I was trying to say we're going to meet here. I want to meet in a place where we will not be interrupted, you know. And so we're going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to get out of here and then get with him tomorrow. So I'll bring you guys up when we get it all set up and ready. If the October thing, my daughter and I were trying to select a date that works best when there are not a lot of things going on, and we figured that October might be the best month as we look at everything that's happening. That might be our best month, and so we're going to shoot for that. And that gives us time to get it together, to all the things you talked about in terms of the volunteers and everything, just to have it in place, not in place, but have it categorized, where when we talk about this, when we have this big activity, then we can share all this with the community, and they will come on board, and I think they will.
Well, you keep us posted on the results and
Will do.
progress on that, okay?
Will do.
And God bless you.
Thank you
know,
so
God, may the Lord send his angels and doors be open for what you do, and continually give you good health and prosperity over your life and your community and your family. And to God be the glory that you even taking time out here to be with us today. And thank you to everybody who's been taking time to watch the show. It's enlightened my life, like, you know, me and my life, and moving forward, and even what I do, you know, what it takes
Right.
to keep persevering.
Right.
Thank you, Leon, for being here, and
Thank
to the
you.
Public Media Network.
Of course, thank our professor.
Professor.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you all, and God bless. Until next time.
Adios and Serenata. You should say some African language. How you say bye in which Ivory Coast?
I don't know.